So this next section is about Tennessee versus Gardner. But first, we're going to talk about this video a little bit that we just saw. I mean, God, what wasn't wrong with this video? I mean, you have this woman handcuffed on the curb. You have about 3 or 4 officers standing around her. One of the officers probably the one questioning her, writing stuff down. And, of course, she's probably calling this guy every name in the book. But so what? So what? They're just words, people. You can't get upset over words, and you cannot allow these things to get under your skin. You're the professional. She's handcuffed. Should be game over. So she looks like she rolls over there, and she kind of takes a swipe at him with the foot. Didn't look like it did any damage to him whatsoever. And, I mean, he just go ahead and, just go ahead and kicks her head like he's punting a football. And it looked bad. You can imagine what the jury thought when they saw this. And not only that, like I said, other officers at the scene, it wasn't reasonable to them. And, I mean, how can that be reasonable to anybody? I don't understand, I mean, fine, she, swiped at you with her foot there. I mean, come on, you could have took a couple of steps back or moved further behind her so she can't kick you. Or, like they said, go ahead and put her in leg irons, go ahead and put her in, leg shackles, those are reasonable, I mean, if she becomes even further combative, even hog tying, the method of hog tying would be reasonable at that point, so remember, it's all about being reasonable. And I don't think anybody, one of us, would think what happened in the past video was reasonable at all. It was excessive, and as you can see, I believe that officer was found guilty and sentenced to prison. So, this is pretty serious stuff, and if they do that to the police, can you just imagine what would happen to a security officer? So, remember, your job is to observe and report. Really, you should avoid handcuffing altogether. However, there are times that your employer may want you to step up the enforcement on the property, and that is between you and your employer. However, as far as the state is concerned, your job is to observe and report. Now, whatever relationship you have with your site or your client, just remember that if you are going to apply handcuffs on somebody, they have to be, number one, they have to be under arrest. Okay? It's no detainment. They have to be under arrest. Detainment will be covered further in the section after this concerning loss prevention. But for most intents and purposes, when you handcuff somebody out in the field, they are going to be under arrest. And just a little side note, when you do arrest them, do not take those handcuffs off until a law enforcement officer instructs you. Because if you do take those cuffs off, now you can be subject to false arrest. So, I mean, this is pretty serious stuff. When you handcuff somebody, you better be in the right. You have better witnessed them committing a crime, which is the first element. Then you would arrest them, which would be the second element. And then number 3, since they are now have them under arrest, they are your responsibility. If they get hurt or anything like that, you could be held criminally and civilly liable. So, make sure that, that you're also watching out after your suspect after they have them handcuffed. Quick story, when I was doing school security, there was a gang fight. Short story, there was a gang fight. I noticed one of the gang members punch a female student. I grabbed him, put him up on the car, handcuff him, and I start walking him towards a safe area. Excuse me. So, but as this was happening, the female that he punched wants to get revenge on him. So now she's flying over me trying to punch him, and I'm trying to back her off. Well, finally, I had to pull my pepper spray out and use it on her because she was trying to attack my guy who was handcuffed, and I can't allow that. I've got to watch over him as well. He's handcuffed. He's defenseless. He can't defend himself against this female attacker. So, you know, me, rather than to lay hands on a student, I would have rather pepper sprayed him. And that seems like the least amount of force. So I did what I had to do there, but at the end of the day, I protected my, the student, and he was okay, and so was she. You know, she just, got some hot sauce in the face for, a couple minutes. It hurts, but, she'll live. After the smoke cleared, I had a teacher come out and said, okay, you can unhandcuff him now, the fight's over. And I'm like, no, I can't unhandcuff him. He has to wait for the police. And the teacher kind of got upset with me and everything, but oh well. He was handcuffed. It was my handcuffs. He was my suspect. They just need to butt out. So, yeah. Make sure you're following all those elements. Also, when you do have them handcuffed, if they're acting good and everything, I mean, hey, and, they're being non-combative with you, go ahead, sit them up on the curb, put them in some shade, give them some water. Even if they're being, even if they're being uncooperative, look out after their safety. If it's a hot day, put them in some shade. Give them a thing of water. Check to see if the handcuffs are too tight and everything. And, this can also get people to de-escalate as well. So, without further ado, Tennessee versus Gardner. Tennessee versus Gardner, 1985, announced that the police may use deadly force only where the officer has probable cause to believe that the suspect poses a threat of serious physical harm either to the officer or to others. So, it's pretty much what BSIS has always taught, and we teach this in our exposed firearm class. You cannot use a firearm unless you or someone else's life is in clear and present danger.